It's a trucking, transportation, and lifestyle show like none other.
Man, you call this a life?
Road Gang Radio is back for another half hour of the best transpo show in the known universe.
We come in peace. Well, actually, we're falling to pieces.
Let's see if we can achieve liftoff, Phone Master Dre.
Oh, we're lifting off right into another good conversation with Lindsay and Jimmy live from Nashville.
Yo, 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 welcome back to Road Gang Radio. I love that boom, 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 that bass. You know I love some bass.
Shake it.
Let's go. Joining us, oh my gosh, Dre is twerking with his butt in the camera, and I'm here for it. He's pushing buttons with his tushy today. Okay, welcome back, Road Gang Radio. We have a return guest today, Jim, joining us, who it's been maybe about over a year.
It feels
probably.
like a year.
Probably
but then
a year,
again,
right?
the last 6 weeks have felt like a year.
That
so
is true.
I've lost all sense of time, space, and dimension.
Yes, that's fair. The last 24 hours.
He
probably.
might actually reset this dark timeline that we're currently living in. So maybe this is the moment that tips it the balance in our favor.
Cometh the moment.
Cometh the man.
Joining us next, welcome back to Road Gang Radio. We're really excited to have on the show today a man who quite literally has country running through his veins, John PayCheck. He's Johnny PayCheck's son, yes, but he's not here. We're not here to talk about that. He's built a life of service. He's an Army aviator, a reserve officer. He's been raising a family. He's farming lavender, which is really cool. As I mentioned earlier, he takes his lavender out on his road. That is out on the road and tour with them for sale, which is #balance, I think is very cool. And after taking time to explore technology in the skies, he's circled back to music with real intention. His latest album, More Days Behind, produced here in Nashville. It's full of songs like More Days Behind, the song Drinking and Crying, which, by the way, shame on you, John. I cannot get it out of my head. It's driving me insane, but it's so good. I can't get it out. It literally wakes me up in the night, but that's a good thing. So you know the secret sauce. They're tracks that are honest, they're grounded and soulful. He's working on a new EP, which will come out next year. He's touring, and yes, there might even be a voice from the past crossing onto this record that you'll hear. John PayCheck, welcome back. We are so excited to hear you, to talk to you, to talk about new music and what's going on. And you were just, let me say, the epitome of country music, the epitome of America, of God and country and everything we stand for around here and that our audience loves to talk about. So thank you for being here. Welcome back.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the great introduction too.
Well, I mean, you know, we just said it. You actually happen to live it, so
Yep.
it's great to have you. Talk a little bit about what it's like to have basically, given the fact that you were in the service, given the fact that anybody who does any farming knows that you spend half the darn time in something mobile in order to make that happen, and then of course you're touring all the time. Talk about how the rhythms of actually being somebody who's on the road all the time change the way you look at the world and the way you create music.
Well, I mean, when you're moving all the time and you're all over this country or even overseas, it gives you a large perspective to see, what is the rest of the community like, what's the rest of the world like, and that in itself just broadens your perspective on when you write songs and what you're going to say and what you think, really is worth saying. So yeah, that'd be probably how I'd answer that one for sure.
But what's so interesting about you, like the life that was led, I think so much about being a songwriter myself. I think so much about not only what people don't understand, it's not only the song that was written and then produced and then released. It's about the 30, 40 years prior to that, the life led in order to be able to write that song, whatever that song is, And you in particular have then throw on top of it another layer, being raised in entertainment. And I'd love your take on this because I have a 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old daughter, and she's on stage with me. She sees the whole entertainment life. And I always wonder, is that going to drive her away from it or make her, I hope she wants to at least be a part of it, even if it's just, around the Christmas tree singing songs or whatever. But you've been able, it seems, to really balance the being raised in the entertainment life, but choosing your own path and then coming back again to music to really have a balance that would always set yourself apart, first of all, from your dad, so that you've really made this career your own. And I believe you when I hear you sing these songs. How do you balance all of that and all that life lived?
Well, the time, yes, it does give you more knowledge about things and more experiences. So I mean, that's a big thing, and it's not to say that younger people don't have something to write about. They have life experiences as well, but yeah, I got a ton of them, right? And I as an older person, not old, but older person, I definitely can see the flaws in my ways when I was younger, and that right there, that's a whole other piece to it, right? So, but as far as being able to balance everything at home and still live this life, still be able to do this. I mean, when I was younger, I ran away from it because, I saw what the music industry could do to a family. But when I decided to come back to it, I definitely was taking all that knowledge, everything that I learned growing up, and going, you know what, I think I can do this and still, and that's the thing too. I hate it because any business meeting I'm in, especially in the beginning, they were like, everyone's always just like, oh, you can't do this. It's going to take away from your family. It's going to ruin that, da 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 da. And it's like, well, that's for me to handle. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. And it's true. You can do this, but you got to have an understanding spouse. You got to make sure when you come home that you spend the majority of your time, paying attention to your kids, going to their football games, going to see them do their activities, spending time with them. That's the biggest thing that I think I took away was when I come home, it's not just time to rest. I'll rest when I'm past. But right now, I need to take care of my family, and then when they move on to college, well, I'm still going to go see them do stuff there. But on top of that, it's making sure that my wife and me have time together. So I mean, that's the biggest portion, I think, and then still remaining a team player too with the family and with my wife. Those are some of the mistakes I learned from. So yeah, and that my dad and my mom made, and yeah, especially drugs and alcohol. We have a no drugs policy in the band. I'm not going to ban alcohol. I mean, alcohol's a part of the culture in the Army. But I'm definitely we don't drink before the show or anything like that, and then you're not allowed to get too rowdy afterwards.
That's just. By the way, kudos to you for having that. It's a fine line. I know a lot of people these days. Didn't used to be the case, but I know a lot of people who that's the thing. We don't drink prior. There's no drugs on the bus. No judgment. You do your thing, but it's still a job. Like it's one of the jobs. It's one of the few jobs in the world where it's like encouraged to drink on the job. It's okay to drink on the job. It's a very weird thing being in entertainment. But anyway, kudos to you for having that boundary, because Jim knows as well in entertainment you gotta draw boundaries around that, right, Jim?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's really kind of the crucial thing. I haven't had a drink in 31 years now, John, and
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I'll tell you this: I'm from the city of New Orleans, and the joke we always make, it makes you the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. And I was kind of curious about your service as well, because you talk about the idea of, there's a drinking culture in the service. Trust me, my father learned that lesson the hard way. He walked out of that and into the light, as many people have. But I wanted to kind of talk about the idea of combining your service with your music career. Do you feel like that the time you spent serving your country actually uniquely positioned you for when that was over to have a better understanding about how to be away from people and then be able to come back to them?
Well, I honestly think my time working with my dad prepared me for that in the Army, because I was on the road with my dad when I was younger. So there's that. But the Army only emphasized it. And then I also went to work for an agency here in Washington, D.C., and I was gone a lot with that too. When I went into the reserves, I ended up taking on a full-time government job. So yeah, I've had a lot of time away from home, and it was when I was doing it with the government and with the military, it was for America. So I kind of just looked at it and went, well, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I have to do, and it protects my family and the nation. But now I'm doing something where it's not that greater calling in that sense. it's another calling. It's an artistic calling that I have. But again, man, I just balance it. And yeah, the military definitely helped me. And just because you're in the military doesn't mean you'll take this away. Everyone's experience will vary. But with me, it was definitely I left aviation because it was taking way too much time away from my family, and I was like, well, I'm going to transfer over and become a intelligence officer, and that's what I did because it didn't take as much time. So yeah, family's always been a huge important thing to me, and still remains so. But yeah, no, it definitely prepared me, I would say, a little bit more.
So this record you have out now, and More Days Behind, which is so good. My personal favorite song on it, just because it's I love when a song can say something really sad and somber, but deliver it in a drinking and crying. You know what I mean? I love the ballad. I always love the ballads of that. So Drinking and Crying is my favorite song on the record, as far as just I was going to say drinking and driving. No, to drive and think about drinking and crying. However,
drive while listening to Drinking and Crying, but don't drive while don't drink while driving and listening to Drinking and Crying. Okay,
But the sentiment of More Days Behind, both the name of the album and a single on it. You use that video that has all the statistics on it for More Days Behind. It showing, how many hours we sleep, work, what remains. And I'm sure there are things that must have surprised you when you sat down to really measure what you've done versus what you feel you still want to do. I'm curious with the sentiment of that song, More Days Behind. I've got more days behind me than ahead is the idea of the song. Do you feel when writing that song and maybe listening back that you have more urgency now, or is there urgency now to get things done, or is there more of a calm knowing that they're more days behind than ahead? How does that shape you, how you travel, how you live your life? And I'm really curious more the urgency versus the calm. Do you feel that?
Well, I do feel the urgency because, I know that I've lived up a good portion of it. We've got past the middle point pretty much just now. And, I feel urgency because, sooner or later I'm not going to be able to withstand the rigors of the road and touring and everything else. That's
20 years from now, John. 20 years from now, that's when it'll be in the wrap up.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Well, I just talked to Danny Shirley from Confederate Railroad, and he turned 70, and man, he's still doing great out on the road. So there may be hope yet. Who knows for me? But I just I don't know. I figure that's one of the reasons why we're going to be moving to Texas in a couple of years. It's just because it's easier to tour from Texas, and I can tour within Texas too. So there's
good point.
That. Yeah, but the other thing is, especially given I won't go into it too much, but just given recent events that we all know about, you don't know when your number's up, and you don't know when that is going to happen. So there's no reason to not go after your dreams or whatever you want to accomplish now. And if you're stalling on it and you're thinking about it, you're just wasting your own time. So that's another reason why it's so vital and important that you go after what you can, and don't sacrifice the things that are important, but go after the things you want to get, because you don't know when it's over. It's going to be over for everybody. That's just the way it is. But you don't know when it's going to be, so go after it now. And the song, it just really is just all about emphasizing that. And then, of course, to me, I've harped on a little bit here. My family is important to me, and that's what you see there at the end, is that spending time with them. So, doing this music thing, getting some creativity out, and trying to have a little more fun and not be quite as serious is definitely a big bonus right now, especially the way the way my life was going before, because before it was very, very serious.
I do have a follow-up to Lindsay's question, but it's kind of it's a long question that probably will earn me a short answer for being such a bloviating blowhole. But I wanted to kind of ask the question to follow up what Lindsay said. when she said, the urgency ramps down a little bit, you've done a lot of things that a lot of people would consider bucket list check marks. You've performed at the Opry. You've gotten an opportunity to do some stuff in places that there's an urgency to get the career going. It doesn't mean a loss of ambition, though, does it? It means that you're able to kind of be more methodical about your ambitions. It doesn't mean you stop moving forward, but it does mean you get to be kind of a little bit more kind of measured in your movement in that direction. Not that you stop, but you're able to take a little bit more time to get things kind of, the meticulous study of the meticulous, that you can take a little more time to get it right, because there are things that you've accomplished now at this point that allow you to take a breath, but not a pause. Is that kind of where you're at?
No, yes and no. I totally agree with what you're saying. I know, but I totally agree with what you're saying, and I like that thought. The way I look at it, though, is I've got those careers, but that are done now, and it has given me an opportunity to be able to do what I'm doing now, because I am not worried about where my next meal's coming from, as
right.
Some starving artists might be, right? And that's because I've got retirements and everything else, all that kind of fun stuff, right? I took a different path here, and I just got it in the right amount of time, but yes, I have a little bit more ability to say no to certain things, and be able to say, no, I won't do that, but yes, let's do this. And now, granted, everyone ends up, if you keep saying no, you're just gonna put yourself on the outside, and on top of that, I need some money to be able to make the tour happen too, right? So, yeah, I have to say yes to some things that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. But yeah, it's I can be more calculated just because I've prepared myself and put myself in a good position, business-wise and even artistically too, than I was in the past. And honestly, with streaming and everything else, and the independent artist rise, that put me in a good position, because I didn't have to go to a label, I didn't have to get a investor and all that fun stuff to get an album out, because now I can do it all on my own, and we've built our own company to do it. And yeah, it's a whole different time. My dad would not recognize the music industry now.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, well, I was speaking of that. Yeah, I mean, being able, that's a big thing for people to understand. That's changed. In the quote unquote olden days, you don't even think about trying to have a career if you don't have a record label behind you. Like this, you know, that it just wasn't a thing. So to your point, your dad would be like, "What's happening?" But speaking of your dad, he would be like, AI and technology would blow his mind, but you're going to incorporate that potentially. So I understand there's talk of unreleased songs from your father being mixed or mastered, possibly a duet between the two of you. And I'm assuming that's unreleased stuff that he'll sing a part. But what are I guess, and you can talk about how that's going to be released, but the creative or emotional challenges in touching material that's so tied to both his memory and the expectation of fans. How are you going to balance that with these newer tools? And because it's going to be tricky, I would assume, to make that stay true to the traditional sound of it, while also keeping it current and being able to merge your voice on it. How is that going to work? And I'm very excited to hear it, by the way.
Well, we're trying to. We have. Let's see. I'll start over. We have about 5 songs that were unreleased, and the tape was bad. So now we're trying to at least restore that a little bit, and to the same original sound. We're not going to use AI to recreate Dad's voice or anything like that. But and if all else fails, we'll just re-record the music with real musicians, and then separate that track of Dad's voice with an AI tool. So, and then put it in there. So, yeah. As far as me singing with Dad, that is something I've always wanted to do. I never got to record anything with Dad or anything like that, but it would be so neat and just such a cool thing to do, and without getting choked up, it would just.
I'm getting choked up. I can't imagine how you are. Yeah.
So yeah, but like I said, we've got 5 songs. We're looking at putting out, and hopefully all of them can work. One of them, It's a little damaged, pretty bad, but we'll see what we can do. And that is looking at maybe next year. It just depends on where we get in this process with somebody who can restore it.
So cool.
Let me ask you about projects like that, because the idea of the restoration, it's like you get to hear something again for the first time, which often is revelatory. Let me ask you, having heard this stuff, even in its current form, did you make any discoveries inside of it? Did you feel like you were being visited by a ghost from the past? Did it feel very much of the present? I mean, what was the process like of kind of going through that? Because you're going to end up, I don't want to say sick of it, it's going to end up kind of playing on loop in your head, though. I mean, that's the people.
Like drinking and crying is in my head every day right now.
Exactly. But that's, Lindsay and I love talking about sausage and process on this show, and we mean making the sausage, guys. Keep your heads out of that place. But you know what I'm talking about here? The idea that it's like, are you ready? Do you feel like you are ready to kind of go through this to the point where you don't hear it anymore, and then you hear it again? If I'm making sense with that, John.
Yeah, the one thing you said, boy, the ghost from the past thing, boy, that's for real. It's wild to hear something that I've never heard before from my dad, and then I don't know. It's so when you have a family member pass, if you have recordings of them in any way, shape, or form, you get used to listening to that occasionally and remembering them. But then when something just out of the blue comes up and it's not what you've ever heard before, it's like almost you get to, I don't want to say you get to talk to them again, but like, I don't know how to put it. It's you get to hear things from them that you didn't hear, you haven't heard in 30 years, 40 years. So yeah, it's when I was given the tapes, it was a neat experience, and man, there wasn't a dry eye around just because it was so, and we were happy about it. I mean, you know what I mean? It was so cool to be able to hear Dad again, in a new way, and he sounds good. He sounds good on these. Dad's got a one or two recordings where he sounds a little rough at the time, and it was how he was at the moment, right? But boy, these sound great, and it's just, I don't know, it makes my heart feel good that we're going to be able to do something with it, that we're going to be able to give it to fans who loved his music, and new fans hopefully too, right? So yeah, it's I got off of the sausage piece of it, the sausage making piece of it there. If you want to reiterate just a little bit that for me, I'll try to answer it again. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, and you're kind of onto something here, though. The idea that it's the separation point. The idea that how are you able, to listen to this kind of stuff? Because people don't realize when you do the kind of work you guys are talking about doing, it's looping. I mean, it feels like deja vu all over again. It gets to the point where you stop hearing it for a while, and takes you a while to kind of get back to listening to it because you don't hear it after a while. And this is different, though, because this is not just trying to rebuild something from the past. This is something directly connected to you. And I'm wondering, when you kind of get down to the nuts and bolts of it, the importance of getting it right becomes monumental at that point, doesn't it? I mean, that's the real thing. And if you just to kind of touch on that a little bit, if I made any sense, Sean.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. If you have to balance one, what is good and what is good enough, and then without also taking away from the historical nature of the piece, right? So that whole sitting down there listening to it over and over again and going, oh, that little pop and snap, we need to get rid of that. Let's go back and forth over it. Let's eliminate. Let's change our frequency. All that stuff that you do in the studio. And I know some of it, and I'm not a great engineer or nothing, but I understand how it works. But yeah, when you sit there listening to it over and over again, it does. It becomes noise and not music anymore. And then, but I'll tell you what happens, at least with me, is after we get done with it, I'll take a week and get away from it. And then, and I do this with my own music too. I'll take a week, get away from it, and then listen to it, the final version again, to just hear it and actually hear it with clear and clean ears, and not be down in the minutia like I was before. Because yeah, it does. It becomes just noise after a while, and you're listening for certain things, like, you know, oh, that fiddle's just a hair out of tune. I can hear it, man. We need to change that. And yeah, that's the kind of stuff that yeah, it does become mind bending when you're in the studio doing that.
By the way, John, I just want to say this. I actually sent Lindsay a message during this conversation. I said, it's so nice to have a guest that actually listens. Somehow, in the middle of my garbled mess of a question, you actually managed to answer it exactly what I was hoping for. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Well, I was just going to say, y'all think about this too. Take out of it, you know, when someone passes and you have them on a voicemail, to go back to you trying to figure out how to create this. You have them on a voicemail, and my husband lost both of his parents this year, and I know he's going back listening to voice memos of them. I am, so I'm sure he is, you know. And so think about that. Take out the fact that it's Johnny PayCheck. Who cares? This is your dad. So if anyone can understand when they hear this music when it's released, that's a father and a son getting to talk to each other. Like, it's a reminder to anybody, don't delete those voicemails. Save at least one voicemail from your parents, because something, you know, most people's parents aren't singers, but we can save those things with us. So okay, you're going on tour. You've got so much going on. We just have like 2 minutes left, but one thing I really wanted to hit on real quick, because we have a lot of veterans who listen to the show that are truck drivers, and discipline is such a big thing. I think it's so cool here that you have, and maybe you don't have it, but my guess is that you have discipline instilled in you from the military, which is how you're able to manage all these worlds of writing music, of touring, of family, of farm life. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does discipline play a big balance in you being able to manage all those worlds?
Yes. I mean, you have to. There's just no way to get it all done without that. And then the biggest thing is to have a really good team. And I've got a great family and a great team within the music side of things and in the farm side of things. So, yeah, without that, it would all fall apart. And the discipline piece, you know, that's just a fraction of it. It's really just having a lot of good people.
Good people. Well, you are good people. Guys, if you head over to johnpaycheck.com, I love the picture, by the way, of that comes up on your website, and it's such a throwback, the John PayCheck, the biscuit sign, you know, that whole deal. Everything over there, the coloring over on your website, everything on your website and your music screams that balance of old
now
and new.
And then.
Yeah,
now
totally. Biscuits and gravy, John PayCheck, country music, biscuits and gravy. Like, how much more you can get. He's out on tour. You have several dates this year, new music coming out next year, music out now. John, what are you most excited for coming up here next?
Geez, what am I most excited for? Well, we've got a huge farm party that we're playing coming up. It's called the Farm Party. It's in Brookville, Indiana, coming up on Saturday, and then we're playing at the Neon Moon in Yanis, Texas. And I'm always excited to get back to Texas. I love Texas. Oh, and we're also playing Hoots Hall.
Nice.
In Texas too, but I'm excited to get back out on the road. We've been off for about a week, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of ready to get back out and do our thing. And then after that, it's just being able to get some time off here around December and start writing music again. And we write in December and January, and then we record in February. So a new album will be out next year. I'm excited about that.
John, I'm gonna text you my song trying to get back to Texas when we get off, if that's okay, because I'm with you. I'm always excited to get. I'm from there too, and it's a different animal. I love that you said you can easily tour from Texas and in Texas. That explains the magnitude of Texas to a T, I think.
3 states in one. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
John PayCheck, everybody head over to johnpaycheck.com. We appreciate your time. We love this music. We love your heart and soul. You're the authentic, real deal, and I know that came across here in the interview. So thanks for your time, and stay safe out there.
Thank you, John.
Well, I sure appreciate all y'all.